What's up, everybody? Wes, Dead Air Knipe here with Always
Typical Lydia.
Today's show, we're going to be doing the 2023 hidden classic, Cobweb. I'm scratching.
Like scratching at the wall.
Yeah, I'm scratching through the wall like Sarah does.
That is, I like a lot about this movie, the atmosphere and everything like that. But it really does get it right when it comes to a kid hearing a noise at night. I remember being very, very young and hearing a little weird fluttering, flapping sound. And I was like, what the hell? And it's the only time I remember being so scared of putting like my blankets over my head. And I heard this flap, 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 flutter, flutter, flutter. And it was a fucking bat flapping around in my room. I could hardly see it in the dark, but oh my God, like I was very young, maybe 5, but I knew instinctually what that sound was, that it was indeed a bat. And then when I saw it, I don't know how I sort of smeared myself out under my blankets onto my floor and crawled like a little scared rodent into my parents' room. Yeah, they really got that scared kid at night down very, very well.
How did you get the bat out of your bedroom?
Oh, my dad finally believed me and woke up and when he turned on the light, he went, "Oh my God, there's a bat in here." And I felt vindicated. He threw a blanket over it and brought it outside.
Well, there's no chance in the parents believing their kid in this movie scratching in the walls. What could possibly be making that noise? Certainly nothing that we know anything about. Anyway, go back to sleep, you little mop-headed child.
He was a mop-headed child. I really like the kid in this, actually, and I had just recently looked up moments ago that this is the same little kid that played Toby in Last Voyage of the Demeter. So that was cool to see.
That was very cool to see. He is unlike the typical peanut butter chewing child that is basically just mush mouthing through a bunch of line readings. And you can tell sometimes these types of films are difficult to execute when the centerpiece is children. And sometimes you get very lucky and sometimes you don't. And we've covered films like this on the show before. And in the same sense that we can have films of this type, this sort of psychological, is this a demon? Is this a haunting? What exactly are we dealing with? We have a small cast, an isolated family. And sometimes it will be the mother that would be the focus and something's going on in their house and they must investigate. But sometimes it's the kid's perspective. And like we were saying, this performance, young Peter is in practically every scene. So if you get this role wrong, this movie does not work. And for some people, I guess this movie didn't work all that well, but I mean, for me, it did.
For me too. And when we last spoke, I had asked, I'm in the mood for haunted house candlelight kind of stuff. Does this have that sort of vibe? And you said that I would be pleased with the ambience. And boy, was I ever, big time. And, it's hard to pitch a kid in a film in a way. I guess if anyone out there is worried and they're like, oh, if it's kid-centric, main lead character is a kid, not interested. I mean, if you like watching The Omen Part 2, let's say, or if you like watching The Ring, it has a very central kid that's an extremely heavy lifting and physical actor, an actor that's very present and just maybe is 10 years beyond his years somehow as far as being an actor. This is those are good representations of how good of a job this kid does.
Yeah, I completely agree. There is something that is becoming a bit old-fashioned wouldn't you say, about films like this? Now, this film does have a tonal shift towards the third act, and this is the malignant like twist in this story. But I think films like this are necessary, and I'd like this film as a companion piece to a film like Malignant, another film that we've covered on the show and we both enjoyed quite a bit. You know, in the late aughts and early 2010s, horror was dominated by the haunted house, the nuclear family centerpiece being disrupted by spirits and demons and all kinds of supernatural things from beyond. Sometimes, in the case of Dark Sky, literal fucking aliens. But it was always this family unit. And I don't have, like, I have a family, but I don't have children, and I don't have like a traditional family. Neither do you. You are married, but with no children. And so, personally speaking, I was getting very tired of films like this, the Blumhouse effect of not just stuff coming out of that studio, but also things that were coming out capitalizing on the popularity of this. And there was a time in which if I saw a trailer for a movie and I saw a big ass house and people moving in sight unseen, I just really got prickly towards it. And people had to convince me to watch these films. I'm not saying I don't like this type of horror. What I am saying is there was a period in which this was what was making a lot of money. It was omnipresent, and I was tired of it. And now you see this resurgence of like the slasher, the resurgence of like weirder kind of experimental horror film. The gothic horror film has come back in a big bad way. And there are still, you know, like, let's not take anything away from Blumhouse and their Conjuring universe. The last Conjuring, allegedly the last one, made more money than anyone had ever seen. So that's cool for them. But I kind of, now that the big phase of these types of movies is over, now I'm looking back. Now I'm trying to see the things that we've missed. And we covered The Boogeyman, which I liked a lot. And that was a more recent one of those films. And this too, Cobweb, just, I think it's poor timing in more ways than one. But this was also trying to trick you a little bit. And so I hope you're not too mad. I know I said haunted houses and this, that, and the other thing, but this is kind of a bait and switch type of horror film.
It is in a little bit, but I think that owing to my huge appreciation for Malignant, which when we say tonal shift, that is like one of the kings of tonal shift. They try like 7 different movie genres in one. It doesn't quite go that balls out with the shift here. But yeah, no, because I'm such a fan of that sort of horror. And, you know, there's films like this where there's like a hole in the wall kind of thing. And you just sort of expect that what is on the other side is not what you expect. This reminded me quite a lot of the film Barbarian, which had a lot of polarized opinion. There was like half people hated it or didn't get it, and just simply didn't like it. And there's another half of people who absolutely loved it. And I really, really, really love that film. Not just because there's a heavy take kind of movie or monster going on in there, but it's not what you expect. And it seems so very grounded in reality. This sets you up with there's something making scratches and knocks on the other side of the wall. And you kind of inherently know, just because of the surreality that you're presented with this town, this house, this family, not so much this kid. He's the most regular person in the whole movie. You know that whatever's on the other side of that wall is not what you expect.
To the point in which even when they do the big reveal, I'm like, what? But I also, since you brought up hole in the wall type movies, I also want to cite other films that this is similar to: The Boy, the first Boy movie, and also the movie Housebound.
Or you could even take it down to some of the greats of film, People Under the Stairs. And that really reminded me a lot of the way that the parents are very strange and they present a facade to other people. But this town itself is kind of surreal. Like, it is like a Halloweeny town. I love that about this film. And that's one tone that they keep through the whole thing. The color palette, the sound design, everything speaks to almost like an Edward Gorey kind of thing, or I don't know how else to describe it, because it's not as ooky spooky as, say, Wednesday. I've been watching Wednesday on Netflix. It's not ooky spooky Addams Family. It's not Beetlejuice territory where things are like a caricature of a gothic landscape in today's terms. People have cell phones and things like that. But it does it right with the very somber color palette, the leaves blowing. It's October, a Halloween film taking place on Halloween. So, like, they've got that ooky spooky atmosphere with dull colors, hazy light, hazy sky. It's all perpetually twilight, even during the day somehow. They just do that so well.
Yeah, even during the day, like you said, it's like this weird overcast. Like the sun is never really shining, and you are brought to this place, these parents, like the facade is razor thin. They're barely able to hold it together and not act fucking insane. Even when they're in the presence of other adults, they cannot act normal.
Pretty much. And I suppose that would be the same as the couple in The People Under the Stairs, because, like, seeing them out and about would be weird and terrifying, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, the parents and the people under the stairs have a severe coiled spring and can barely hold their contempt in for the community in which they're exploiting. Much in the same way, these parents can barely keep it together. Like it seems almost worse in the presence of Peter's teacher, Miss Devine, where they can't. That kitchen sequence, I'm like, you're not calling child services immediately?
Yeah, and you gotta really, like, this film asks you to enter the silver screen entirely. It is not to be a one for one for the world we live in. And it's not a completely fantastical world either. Well, I guess it is. By the end, it is a monstrously fantastical world. But, like, on the surface level, it's just it's a different reality for sure. It's definitely a dark urban fantasy to start with. But when you said parents, it reminded me that it is a lot like the film Parents, where the parents are warped. It's a different kind of world. Angela Badalamenti is the soundtrack for that entirely, so you know you're entering into the Black Lodge somehow. And this has a sort of Black Lodge flavor to it too, not in a Lynchian sense where the film is Lynchian, but the sentiment and the expectation of the audience is Lynchian, where you're going to sit down and allow yourself to be told this story. And you kind of have to go along with that. If you decide that you're going to push back against this movie at all, you're not going to have a good time. But yeah, the film Parents have sort of the same conceit where everyone in the town is a little bit off. Now, where did you find out about this movie? Because in our research, we found out that this also opened the same month or within a few weeks of Barbie and Oppenheimer. So no one saw it in theater. And I had I didn't recognize the look of it, the name of it, anything. Like the director had done that Marianne series, which I really liked, but I, didn't follow. I didn't know that he'd done this. That kid from Last Voyage of the Demeter, a movie we both really like. Not like I followed this kid, Woody Norman. So I had no idea that this had come out. Like, I don't remember this coming out at all until you pitched it for the show last week.
For me, it is a bit of social media at its finest, and what I feel is the primary function of social media. When you have like-minded people, if you're part of any kind of horror community, I rely on a lot of my mutuals, a lot of people that I'm following on various platforms to constantly keep me abreast of things that are coming out, because I'm very bad at watching newer horror movies. I just don't see them. I just I
Mhm.
just I can't get to the theater. I don't pay attention to things on streaming all that much. I'm not adventurous. Like I really am not. Like I'll check things out if they interest me, but I'm so much more likely to watch Evil Dead again than I am to watch something I don't know. I don't know why I'm like this. Like, but I just have always been this way. And I wallow in the past when it comes to horror films. And this was consistently the year it came out, 2023, it was consistently on the "you all missed this, you should watch this" list. Everybody was talking about it. And at least everybody that I was in the circle of following it. And it was one of those things where it seemed like every month, every other month, one more person was like, here's some underrated gems that you might have missed. And inevitably, Cobweb's on the list. Here's 2024 rolls around. It's Halloween again. People are like, here's a Halloween film that you've missed. You definitely don't know this one, and it's worth your time. And so I was like, you know what? I've been pitched this movie enough. I'm going to watch it. It's available on Netflix. Let's fucking go. And I so much enjoyed it, much in the same way that I enjoyed Housebound and The Boy and Malignant. I love when films just go for it.
It is that kind of comic booky sentiment of you're entering a surreality, that dark urban fantasy that isn't, a complete fantastical other world. It's still Earth, but that's about it.
Oh, especially with that pumpkin patch. Just like, and then no, Mark's pumpkin patch, he's a farmer, I guess. Like, with that small of a pumpkin patch, are you trying to tell me this is your exclusive livelihood? What are you like?
I don't
What
know.
are you? But it doesn't
They
matter.
eat a lot of pumpkin.
They, fuck all that, Lydia. Fuck it all to hell. Fuck it to the pumpkin patch and back. What is this movie even about, anyways?
I mean, aside from pumpkins, because it's really about pumpkins, like for a lot of it. My God, I love the pumpkins. This movie is about to trust nobody over 40. Do not trust parents. Don't trust the living. Don't trust anybody. Do not trust the voices in the wall. Do not trust even the school board to keep you safe.
Yeah, this town's in the need for some Logan's Run. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really severely does. Yeah, this film is just fucking fascinating, and it starts immediately, and this is not a family that is moving into a house sight unseen. We are introduced to young Peter, and Peter is a lonely boy that throws balls against a wall, and they live almost like a monastic existence in this house in the middle of the suburbs, which seems to have the interiors of like the 1950s. Like, it's so strange. It doesn't really seem to, like, there's no television, there's doesn't look like they have the internet, no one's got a cell phone, and you're like, wait, what year is this supposed to be taking place? And it's not really discussed. All we know is that it is 1 week to Halloween.
The house reminds me a lot of the house, not necessarily the Psycho house as we know it with Norman Bates, but the Psycho house that we know it from Bates Motel, the show, because we get to see a lot more of the house in that series, and that's what it reminds me of. And it is like straight out of the 50s. I expected there would be some sort of Mormon angle, and that they were some sort of like excommunicated people from a religious cult, but no, this is just the way they act. Super stoic, super stead, super secretive, just very strange mother father. I wonder how the fuck they dated. Like, how did they meet? Did they meet in a cult? That would explain a lot. A pumpkin cult. Because, yeah, the only thing there is to this house is a lot of shadow. It's always very dark, very dim. Everything's grayish, brownish, muted gold. It's a beautiful house. I want to live there.
Yeah, and the wallpaper, these old houses with the wallpaper, it looks like this house has not been touched in a century almost. And they live a very quiet existence. And young Peter, heads off to school. And this is the biggest splash of color and energy that we're going to see in this film. And we're going to be introduced to a bunch of students. Peter is not well liked, and they're going to have a substitute teacher, Miss Divine. And she is going to be kind of our way into this story, because she's going to notice that there's something quite weird with Peter. He's got all the cliches of a troubled little boy.
Even drawing pictures that draw the attention of the teacher. He draws a picture, which we'll get to in a little bit, but he wants to go trick or treating, and his parents have told him no, with a cover story that we can see through from a mile away, that there was a disappearance of a young girl several years ago. It's not safe out there. Now, we have met kids at the school. We know that there's normal kids at the school. We know other kids are obviously going trick or treating. Everything around them outside of their weird bubble of their home has at least a shade of normalcy. The substitute teacher seems very, very normal. So when I said that Peter's the only normal person in this film, I guess the teacher is also normal. But I mean, we know that there's something to that. There's something else to that. This disappearance isn't keeping anyone else from trick or treating.
The story is so vague, too. It's just they went missing on Halloween. So, therefore, Peter is not allowed to go trick or treating. Peter himself is a character that looks like if you were to look at him the wrong way, he will start crying. And a lot of the lines he delivers to his parents in particular, he's always on the verge of tears. His father, Mark, does have that coiled spring like I described, but he does sound like he's in a cult the entire time. It sounds as though he's espousing some kind of weird, folksy, like version of non-violence, but there's moments in this film where you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on? And the way in which you could understand how Peter feels isolated, he's bullied, there's a young little blonde boy that doesn't like him very much and constantly picks on him, and he seems to be the ringleader for kids in class to isolate him. But it's the interactions with the parents that are so off-putting and so genuinely tense, I find. Anthony Starr plays the father, Mark, who has made a career on uncomfortable, tense conversations, playing Homelander in the series based off of the comic book The Boys. He's very famous now for playing a bad guy. I needed very little convincing that this guy was a cocksucker. Whereas Peter's mother, Carol, what do you say? Like, this woman seems at the same time terrified of her husband, but at the same time seems more frenzied and dangerous and erratic than her husband. Don't you think?
Like he has to remain a coiled spring to keep her in line lest she explode and go feral. We've seen this sort of family dynamic, or at least I had before, and it reminded me quite a lot of The Woman, Lucky McKee's film. And yeah, based
That's a
on the
good,
Jack
yeah.
Ketchum story.
Mm-hmm.
That family is fucking scary, fucking crazy, and it's fucking tense, and it's a control dynamic that we can't quite put our finger on. The mom is a little more wrung out in The Woman than this. Of course, this woman is very strong and definitely calls the shots, and it is a 50-50 relationship in Cobweb between the mother and the father with their control nature. She can be mistaken for a nurturing, caring mother who isn't just going to, indulge her son in the monster in the wall. I was a babysitter off and on in my teens, as many kids, and I had a kid that was very scared of the monsters. And I was like, okay, what we're going to do is write a contract. Me and you, what we'll do, we'll write this like monsters can't come in the bedroom while I'm sleeping. If monsters want to come in, they have to knock on the door and introduce themselves properly and shake hands. And we'll establish some time frames at which the monsters can be in this room. Signed by you, the kid, me, the babysitter. We'll get your mom to sign it tomorrow, and we'll slide it under the door for the monster to sign overnight. So he can't come in here till he looks at this contract. And the kid was like, "That's a good idea." And he went to bed. That was the goal. So the mother comes in and she basically does a small version of that, of like negotiating with the fear. And the kid, there's nothing behind there. It didn't knock back, so there's nothing there.
And right now, you could be lulled into a bit of a false sense of security, can't you? In the sense that, like, oh, okay, I know what this movie is. And we understand that there is something within the walls. What is it? We don't know. But this is going to be, he's imagining it. He's got a wild imagination, this kid. And it gets so much darker than that so very quickly. And it starts quite early when this scratching turns to speaking, and we hear the voice of a young girl. And this is little Sarah, and she is going to be talking to Peter, quite soothing, quite like she is trying to comfort him, to assure him that he has nothing to fear from her. And you start coming up with all kinds of scenarios in your mind, up to and including this very flimsy girl disappearing story that took place on Halloween.
That was supposed to be years ago though, so I'm thinking like, wouldn't this kid be older? Like the time frames just don't meet up. But a lot about these parents leads me to believe that the voice in the wall is right. And they're up to no good, and they're keeping something from everybody. And this would explain why they don't want Peter to mingle. They don't mind him being an outcast. They don't mind people not coming to their home. They enjoy their very strict life and very quiet life because they're hiding something. Is this something that they do habitually? Is it something they did once? Is it maybe even because it has a kind of a ghostly atmosphere? Is this the ghost of a kid that is manipulating Peter into believing his parents, who are innocent, had done something? Like your mind kind of goes everywhere, and I really liked that about this because you're faced with the reality of it's a spooky atmosphere. An outcast kid with very strict parents is being told stories by something that we don't know if it's real behind the wall. Even if we see her eye, we don't know. We don't have proof that it's real.
And in this day and age, it could really be anything. And also, it's important to remember that by this time and for a long time, ghosts straight up bump in the night ghosts are kind of in eclipse, right? And I think that it's because people were like, well, a ghost is a nuisance and they make a lot of noises and it can be unsettling and scary, but no one's in danger from a ghost. Not really, but let's make it a demon. Now people can be in danger. This thing can hurt me or hurt my loved ones. And we've seen a lot of demon movies. And so could this be a demon that is existing in the wall and trying to get Peter to effectively invite them in? Demons require submission as part of the game plan.
Mm-hmm. And this could just be a little bit of a long con, because this has been night after night now that Peter pretends to sleep. His parents tuck him in, or their approximation of tucking him in, and he pretty much immediately either goes to talking to the wall, where he's lifted the wallpaper and created a little hole, or the hole is being created, or telling the voice to be quiet and leave him alone. But it's insisting, it's seducing him. So yeah, that it's demonic would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and just like, you know, putting the whammy on him, like faking the voice or doing something to that effect. Meanwhile, this is having a detrimental effect on Peter, and it's becoming obvious. Already a troubled, quiet kid that didn't have any friends, to the point in which he doesn't even want to go to recess. You understand? Miss Devine has said, oh, all right, you can hang out here. The nice thing about this film taking place a week before Halloween, you get to sneak in some more pumpkins, you get to sneak in some Halloween decorations. Miss Devine is a good teacher. They never say where the main teacher is, but she's the substitute, and you know, it seems to like when we leave the Peter's home, we only see two adults. We see Miss Devine, and then whom I'm assuming is the principal, another teacher. We have like very scarce scenes with that dude. He's only in 2 scenes, but she is going to give her students an assignment. It's Halloween. It's spooky season. So let us have a fun arts and craft activity, and we can all just draw some ghosts, goblins, and witches. Now, Peter is going to draw a haunting room in pitch black darkness and a word balloon that says "help me," with him as a scared boy in bed.
Which, you know, if you want to be, you know, black doesn't signify the same sorts of things to a kid. It's darkness. That's what he's trying to. It's not evil, right? When she said, you know, a spooky Halloween scene, maybe he just wanted to draw this instead. Maybe he does view his mom as a witch and his dad as an evil, spooky man. You know, maybe it is just him being scared of the thing in the wall. Or maybe he's personifying the thing in the wall that wants help itself. So, you know, this could all come from a nightmare. This could all come from a nightmare.
The worst thing about this is that he, in a bit of vulnerability, tried to draw his feelings and his fears and his anxieties out on a page as a little bit of catharsis. He did not anticipate that Miss Devine is a fucking busybody, and she immediately, with the drawing, goes to his parents' house. This happened to me, Lids.
I know it did. I know it did. I mean, I drew some kooky stuff, but I never had it bounce back. Did they come to your house, though?
No. So to our listeners, when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, I drew a series of drawings in which I had depicted every teacher in my school that I could think of dying in horrific axe to the face, knife in the back, burned alive, skeleton in a cage. And since you couldn't tell who it was, I would write the teacher's name with an arrow to the skeleton. So there was no confusion about who this skeleton was. My parents were called into the school. Now you got to remember that this was pre Columbine. This was pre all of that type of shit where parents and teachers and everyone was just really on high alert about the type of person their kids could be. But no, straight up, like, and to my parents' credit, they defended me. They were just like, he's a creative kid. He's drawing their pictures. Like he likes horror. He's not dangerous. But no, my teachers thought that I was gonna fucking kill them.
I mean, to the credit of the teachers, this is something I didn't know. The first time you had told me this story, I was like, thinking partially, like anyone would, it's an overreaction of the school. But we did have the St. Pius X school shooting in 1975. So if that teacher or your parents were here through that, there was the Robert Poulin brought a gun to school after he had already set on fire and the house of his neighbor and murdered her. Just absolutely wretched, scary, terrible, terrifying school shooting. And that kid was an outcast as well, right? I don't know if there had been any warning signs, but I sure as shit, no teacher in Ottawa for 50 years after is going to let anyone slip through the sieve, right? So kudos to the teacher who annoyed the shit out of you.
You want to know something? Is like, I barely remembered it. My mother had to remind me, and I was like, oh, and then it all started coming back. I did remember coming after school. It was after school. Like I had to come back to the school
wild.
In the evening time. And it was like me and my parents walking into the classroom, and it was like nighttime. It was so weird. It was, so I know what it's like to just be like, I'm bored at my desk. I just drew and I got it in my head that I was going to draw pictures of killing all my teachers. What kid hasn't fantasized about burning down their school or killing their teachers? It's completely normal. I'm punk rock as fuck, horror till I die. I bleed black, whatever you want to call it. But I never heard anybody, by the way, fuckers. This is the worst case scenario because his mother, Peter's mother, is reacting in such a way where she's greatly disturbed by this. Now, when Miss Divine is talking to him or her, oh, he's just got a wild imagination. He's just very creative, kind of like the things like, don't worry, like, we'll talk to him about this and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Have a good day.
Yeah. And Peter kind of plays it off a little bit, although he does kind of like try to slip under the door. Like, I'm not asking for help. She is. What was that? I mean, it's just a scary drawing, Mom, for Halloween. Like, and it's kind of interesting watching Peter go from being a very timid, shy kid that really fears like he's going to be found out about something. He's a very soft-spoken, jittery kid. I need to emphasize this. And there's a couple of moments in this film in which he's like, what's everyone's problem? I'm just going to act normal because I'm fucking lying. And this is one of those moments where he just kind of like brushes it off. And man, is that going to come back to bite him?
No, it will, but it's almost effective too, right? Because you wish and hope. He seems like a pretty normal kid, really deep down, and he's like a well-adjusted kid. I don't understand why he's being picked on. I really don't. I have a theory that the actual teacher, his regular teacher, knows, and my theory that his regular teacher knows his parents, and his regular teacher lets all this happen because she knows his parents. Like other people in this town must know them and understand the way they behave because no one has fucking come to their house before, it seems. But yes, anyway, he gets grounded.
Man, does he ever get grounded? Now, one of the things that happens, just so you know, gang, is we're going to have a distressing sequence, the most upsetting sequence in this entire movie, Lydia, is the death of Hector. Now, if you ever saw the scene where Tommy's pumpkin gets smashed in
Mhm.
Halloween, by the way, Samuel Bowden cites Halloween as an inspiration for this film, because when you watch the sequence, you're like, oh my God, this is as hard to watch as Tommy's pumpkin getting smashed in Halloween. Peter has a pumpkin called Hector, and this little bratty bully, Brian's his name, he fucking smashes it and stomps on it. And I'm kind of just like, why would you break this kid's pumpkin? But Peter is understandably very upset about this. And the thing is like, the bully does this in front of a whole bunch of people, and he does get in enough trouble that his mother seems to make him make a new Hector. It's not with the great detail and cares original Hector, mind you, but it's close enough. And he's like, sorry, and he gives him the pumpkin. It's like, isn't that nice, Peter? I'm like, I guess. He still wrecked my fucking shit. But you see, Sarah, his voice in the wall, is going to give him some advice about how to handle bullies. You got to stand up to them, Liz. You got to push them back so they're scared of you. You've got to turn their leg fucking sideways when they fall down 20 fucking stairs.
I don't think she even meant it like that. And, you know, this is time-worn advice given to all sorts of kids, even me as a kid. You know, so and so makes fun of me or so and so pulls my hair. It's, you know what? Pull their hair back. You know what? Don't run and hide and cry. Tell them. Like, use your words. Tell them what they did wrong. Don't stand for that. Don't let people push you out of line or whatever. Push them back. And it's maybe not the best advice sometimes when you're talking to volatile kids. Peter doesn't strike me as a volatile kid. He's the exact kid. He's the model kid for this advice. You know, guy kicks sand in your face at the beach. Go and get some dumbbells, like comic books tell you. He is the cardboard cutout kid for that advice. Isn't he? Like, he's a calm kid. You don't expect him to actually hurt anybody, but maybe him just putting his foot down and saying no. And that's what it sounds like the voice in the wall is saying. And it also lends credence to the theory, if you're on the couch watching this and thinking that this voice isn't real, that it's all in Peter's head, that these are just things that he read in the back of a comic book if he ever had access to a comic book, you know, maybe this voice doesn't exist because it does tell him to, yeah, just push him back. So, when he does get a chance, because he's been cornered in the bathrooms, he's been cornered in the hall, he's been cornered after school. When that bell rings, it's basically open season on Peter. As soon as he gets a chance, he's going to push big bully Brian down the stairs.
And he's going to break Brian's leg. Funnily enough, I'm not making a good case for me not to being a psychopath. This also happened to me in school. There,
Oh, which end of this? You pushed somebody and they got hurt real bad, or you got hurt real
I
bad?
pushed someone and they got hurt real bad.
Oh, Wes.
There was this kid, I was going to the bathroom, and this kid in my class named Patrick Duffy. Hey, Patrick, thanks for listening.
Hey, Patrick.
He was kind of doing like this thing walking towards me, and I got in my head that he was like making fun of me. And so I grabbed him by the scruff of his shirt, like the front, and I threw him, and he stumbled backwards so far into the girls' bathroom, and he fell and he hit the back of his head on the, you know, those schools, like the walls in a school are like those cinder blocks, right?
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, concrete.
concrete. And he started wailing and wailing and wailing, and he screamed so loud that teachers from down the hall came running full speed to him, and there was this huge fucking commotion. I don't remember exactly what my punishment was, but I did do it for no reason. So, like, Maybe the
Mm.
teachers should have been watching me, but this does happen to Peter and he gets grounded. What do you got to say about this scene, Lids? This is a turn in this movie where I'm trying to understand what the fuck, like, what the fuck am I watching? I'd really love to know your thoughts on when this scene started happening.
It's one thing that he gets shut in his room for the drawing at school incident, and it's a lonely kind of grounding that you sort of relate to. I've never been locked in a basement, ever, so I don't know what this is like to be tortured, to be literally systemically tortured, and maybe the idea of this basement had hung over his head if he's ever been down there before because the parents parlay about this basement like it's a regular punishment or something, or at least it's a punishment they've doled out before because it's ready to encase fucking kids, which also leads us to believe they probably did kidnap somebody. They have this basement door behind their fridge that they lock. They put him down there. There's nothing in this sparse, dark, terrible, ratty basement where they're going to keep him as a literal prisoner. And then they slide the fridge across the door. It's almost soundproof too, you can hardly hear him, and he finds a pit down there that he stares down and there's like a scary teddy bear on the ground, maybe what, a whole story or so below this pit with a big, like, jail door grate over it, like, what the fuck? So now we're in people under the stairs territory.
It is so jarring because first you're like, what are these people, like fucking Mormons? Like what is the deal with these fucking parents? Why are they so high strung? Why is the mother like this? And like the dad who was like, we don't do violence. Like he's so, even when he's talking to his son about having to poison rats because they have a rat problem in the shed and blah blah blah, blah, he seems like a normal man, a farmer, a bit distant, but he seems fairly normal. And it just gets worse and worse and worse until you get this sense where like everyone's terrified of him and they know and I agree with you, like this is a punishment that has happened before. His wife is like, oh no, 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 like he could just go to his room, and he's like, no, the basement. And I'm like, the basement behind the fridge, this tiny little like Alice in Wonderland door that you have down here, like it's fucking like Coraline or something. Like what is this fucking room? And it's not even like this basement is like not even a functioning area of the house. It's like it's completely abandoned. Like it is, everything is in a layer of dust. There's like pallets down there and like nothing else. This is not a place in which anyone uses this room for anything other than a dungeon.
They seem to have a shed in the back where they use for gardening and preserves and all that stuff. They probably have like a cold storage in there. Like you would think because they are sort of culty and a little bit, you know, I don't know, fundy looking, that maybe they would have like normal things you would expect down there, like gardening equipment, cold storage, preserves, more pumpkins. Because pumpkins, I had a pumpkin, no word of a lie, that lasted 2 years here in this house. I bought it one Halloween as a little ornamental white pumpkin, and it just sat there in the kitchen for 2 years. And they last a stupendous amount of time. You would think that they would be storing their pumpkins down here or something, but no, they store kidnapped children, it seems. Like, you would think, like, where are we gonna find the pit of bodies next or something, right? Like, it's very it's very horror villain-esque. There's no other way around it. It's not just a regular basement at all.
This caged pit that they have in here, it drops like 30 feet. Like and
Mhm.
so it begs this question: what the fuck? Why would this be even part of the architecture? And I need to emphasize, they do not live in a rural area. It seems as though his father is a farmer, but they live somehow in the middle of a suburb, and they
Mhm.
have a pumpkin patch that is a good sized backyard, but nothing beyond that. So is this just, there is a fucking like field behind the house that we just never see? Are we to believe that they somehow subsist, including, I'm assuming, paying this mortgage with like selling 50 to 80 pumpkins a year? I just don't understand. And again, this is where it's like a dark fantasy where you're trying to understand the logic, but there is no logic. It's Hansel and Gretel. It's just this weird fucking place. And you understand now that maybe this fucking little girl on the wall might be onto something, and she is going to try to encourage him to do some more sleuthing to discover what could be buried in that very pumpkin patch. But while Peter is down there, Miss Devine is going to come to the house again. Now, she's already been warned by her principal, don't get involved with these kids. And he starts laundry listing. Does he have visible bruises? Talking about sex in a way that a little boy shouldn't. Is he wetting himself? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, no, no. Well, then we can't really do anything. And they're weird and standoffish because a little girl went missing in their neighborhood. And that would make anybody weird. That's not, that's a weird fucking excuse, but fine, whatever. She's not convinced. And she decides to pay the family a visit, and she's invited in. And Peter's parents, trying to act normal, if they even know how to act normal, are the most unhinged. Mark is bleeding. He's constantly holding a hammer, and if he puts the hammer down, don't worry, he'll just pick it up again. He's got to be holding the hammer at all times. Carol is going to flip the fuck out while Divine is there, and you would get the fucking sense that she's not an adult. Like, I'm sorry, you're an authority figure. You're a teacher. These people are not being under your best behavior. They're not convincing anyone that they're not harming this boy, whom, by the way, is nowhere to be found. And they're not even trying to provide an explanation about where he could be. So what the fuck?
Now, Peter, of course, can hear some of this going on. He's going to eventually start hammering on the door, but in the meantime, we, as the audience, are convinced, and this is where the movie has done a very, very good job of positioning these people as unhinged, hair trigger psychopaths, even though they've not really done anything. You know, it's true, they've never hurt him or hit him. We don't even see the rats they've killed. You know, like they grow pumpkins. I mean, how harmless could you get? But we're convinced that that teacher's not going to make it out of here alive. Me and Chris had watched it, and I think he'd said through it, like, "Well, this is the end of the teacher." That's how I felt, that it was the end of the teacher, that she was not going to make it out of there. Someone was going to flip shit and either claw her eyes out or bash her brains in. Like, it was going to happen, and it doesn't. And it's such a good tension building scene that I think the closest thing to a relief that we get is that Peter's noise making gets a little bit heard.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do have an old timey washing machine that just is also running at the same time, and very unconvinced. Like, what's that noise? That's a washing machine. Like, again, Mark, the dad, Anthony Starr, is so good in this role of just acting fucking like he is going to kill this woman. Like, again, they're constantly with the hammer. He's just always even when he's like, take care now, bye then, like to the car, he's still holding the hammer. You don't need.
Like he could hit her in the back of the head any moment,
Absolutely. Now, we're convinced that their parents are evil. We've seen them lock this kid up in the fucking basement. They have ordered Miss Divine out of their fucking house. And by the way, Peter, for breaking Brian's leg, is expelled. So if you're worried about your kid being a little fucking weirdo, don't you worry, don't you fret. They're going to homeschool him, which always produces the most normal adults I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, asterisk, oh, I find some of the kids that I knew that were homeschooled that were a little bit off kilter once becoming college aged, everything evened out and it's all good. I think it's actually can be better if you're a teacher or something. And the mother says that she had been a teacher at one point. I don't know if that's a lie because I don't trust these people as far as I can throw them. I really don't. But they do let Peter out. He doesn't wallow in there too long. He doesn't end up in the other pit, but they don't explain that like teddy bear with the teeth or whatever. Like it's a scary teddy bear that he sees in there. I don't think they really like explain that very much, but I think he wants to get to the bottom of this.
Sarah's going to give him some suggestions about what he could do to discover what has really happened and to really let them know. You see, Sarah is not just any little girl, Lids.
And she's not the missing trick-or-treater either, which is what I was convinced of.
Mm-hmm. She is, in fact, Peter's older sister. Now, she says that her parents weren't happy with her and locked her away and replaced her with Peter. And she's worried, not for herself, but for Peter, because what if they replace you too? Yeah, I don't want you to end up hurt in this wall. And somebody tried to help her, Liz. Somebody on Halloween tried to help her. And for her troubles, she was killed. And they have buried her body in the pumpkin patch. And that's where the location of our little trick-or-treater is going to be. And the only way to prove it is to go there and dig up this body. Peter is kind of like a deceptive little kid because he looks at the same time 5, but also does things that like someone who's maybe 10, 11, or 12 will do, up to and including digging up a skull. And the proof is in the pudding.
I really like this scene because it is super atmospheric because you've got Peter kind of sneaking, kind of not, but kind of pulling that whole I'm just a normal kid thing. I'm just a normal kid going out here doing normal kid things. So if anyone were to see him, he would look like a normal kid doing normal kid things. But yeah, he is a determined little guy. But it is so atmospheric because it's just that beautiful pumpkin patch. I really like this scene a lot. Now, did Sarah explain what her parents didn't like about her? Was there something like, did she even give us a hint at all? I don't remember exactly, but it was just that her parents didn't want her anymore.
She doesn't really nail down what the reason might have been. But Peter does say that he would like to see her. Sarah warns him that she's not much to look at because she has been in the walls for too long. And so we are getting a bit of like people under the stairs. This is almost like a Roach scenario where somebody can just look a little deranged because they're malnourished and in the dark walls all this time. She says that she was able to escape, but she can't fully escape because of a grandfather clock that is blocking her exit that's far too heavy. This is some dubious logic, and I'll get into that when we get further into the story, but it doesn't really ruin anything. But what we do know is Peter knows 2 things. Somebody who says that they are his sister, is speaking to him through the walls. They said that the missing trick-or-treater, which we know happened because his parents told him that to keep him from wanting to go, and everyone else confirms it, and even the principal of the school tells Divine this, Miss Divine. So we also know that this is not just some sort of like folk tale that this family is telling each other. This is also something that outsiders know did occur in this neighborhood. And the final linchpin is we have a human skull of a little girl in the pumpkin patch. So now we even have a body. So the question is, what's Peter gonna do?
Well, he's not going to let his dad know that he was digging up bodies in the backyard, even though his dad does seem to know. And it also lends credence to the idea that his dad is a nonviolent guy and doesn't want to punish him. So if there's a body in that pumpkin patch, which there is, I fully blame the mom at this point. But yeah, Peter needs to confer with Sarah.
And basically, what we're going to have to do is help Sarah escape. And they're going to be doing it on Halloween.
Of course, the only way to do this is to get the parents out of the way. And what is the most Shirley Jackson way that you can think of to get these parents out of the way?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Yeah. I detect a little bit of cinnamon. You know, cinnamon in a pumpkin soup would be really good. Mm-hmm.
I'm dying to know. I am dying to know what you think about this dinner sequence.
I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. And I love the fact that they cotton on to what has been done to them in the middle of their dying. I really love it. It's very bloody, and this is the bloodiness that we've been waiting for. It's quite harrowing. It's amazing that Peter doesn't seem to react too much to his parents dying. So it leads you to believe that maybe, you know, it's one thing for him to be very convinced and sure that his parents are murderers and have kept his sister trapped in a wall all of its life and all of his life and kept secrets from him and that hatred. But he doesn't seem consumed by hatred as much just a desire to get away and out of this house, to rescue his sister and get out. That's the beginning and end of his plan. He doesn't seem to have any emotional bandwidth reserved for them.
Even in moments where, you know, he's having like a nightmare about his parents, and this is like the most Blumhousey part of the movie where it's total sleep paralysis demon shit, and where the mother is comforting him, he is just like so cold to it. And then during that dinner sequence, he is just like shut down. And I agree, it's one thing to think that your parents are dangerous, but it's to have the no reaction to violent deaths of your parents, to the point in which your father vomits 4 liters of blood all over the table. Meanwhile, your mother has started brandishing a butcher knife, and she seems to be like, it could be the dynamic beforehand, like, oh, maybe Peter's dad, Mark, is just trying to keep his wife, who's really psychotic, under control or calm or whatever. Maybe he locked him down there because he could see that his wife perhaps might start getting a little nuts. And Halloween, they're pretty high strung anyways. The fucking craziest thing, gang. So they don't want trick-or-treaters at their house, but yet they have a carved jack-o'-lantern with the candle in it on their front porch with the fucking front porch on. And then they're like, ding dong, like their mother loses her mind that they have trick-or-treaters at the door. And then Mark is just like, did you turn the porch light off? Yeah. There's a carved lit jack-o'-lantern on your porch on Halloween night. That's not how you don't have trick-or-treaters.
See, we don't want trick-or-treaters here. I don't have the energy for trick-or-treaters. We're usually watching a movie if we're home at all, right? And we do carve a pumpkin every year, but we bring it in the house Halloween night because it's not for. We don't even usually put it outside. Not since I lived on Armstrong did I have pumpkins outside, but I don't put a lit candle because that is what that means. Putting up jack-o'-lantern on your porch on Halloween night with a candle in it means trick-or-treaters come here. There's candy for you. That's what that fucking means. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about this movie. Like, of all the things in this movie, that's the only one where I'm just like, come on, get out of here. But yeah, it does attract some trick-or-treaters. Sooner or later, there's some trick-or-treaters coming by.
Yeah,
God.
it's
That's where this movie gets really weird.
totally. And there's also like another aspect of this fucking movie that I would say gloss over because they just throw it in here. So we are going to have a scenario that Brian has cousins, older toughs and friends. And Brian's going to show his older cousins where the house is. And then we're going to get a home invasion aspect of this fucking movie, which is nuts, but not before Peter is going to take the dungeon master jailhouse keys that his mother has on her person and unlock the grandfather clock and be able to move this thing that Sarah was not able to move. Holy fucking shit.
Now, were you convinced when his mother was dying, her dying gasp was, don't let it out, or don't let her out. Don't open the door. Did you believe it? Did you have the, oh no, kind of feeling that the script's trying to accomplish at this point? Did you believe the mother and the father were literally trying to protect their son? Or is it, I don't know, they're dying, so it doesn't matter anymore to them, right? Are they just afraid of what's behind there? Did you get the sense that what was behind there was a fucking monster?
Yes, I did. Okay. But
it worked then.
So
yeah.
For me, this was the twist that I was somewhat expecting. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, I thought for a little bit that it was the little girl, but like I thought maybe there was a reason why she was locked up that we don't know about, we don't understand. But I did think that the parents themselves were acting so fucking erratic. It couldn't possibly be as straightforward as their parents were evil. Now, let's be clear. I don't think that her parents are good people whatsoever.
No,
but I do think that they are the lesser of two evils, and jailhouse keys are appropriate because this house is a jail for Sarah. And the thing that I could not ever predict was what Sarah is capable of. This is the most insane thing about this movie. This is like Malignant level. Why can they do this? Why are they like this? We're talking, I'll see if I could do it justice. Sarah is stronger than a normal human for sure. Mm-hmm. Faster than a normal human for sure. Can crawl on ceilings and walls like she's a xenomorph. She can shred people with claws like a xenomorph. And I'm not talking about like she can scratch you. I mean, she can dismember you.
Yeah, like a grizzly bear.
Yes. And I'm sorry, she was just deformed when she was born.
When they do some shadow play, there's some shadow play throughout this film because it is a darkly lit Victorian type house. And you see the shadows of the parents talking, and there's a lot of shadow play when he's in the basement, of course. But they show some of this creature in shadow, and it looks spider-like with several legs. I was expecting a Regan from The Exorcist down the stairs backwards kind of thing. I really was. That's sort of spider walking because that's what I believe was being projected, not necessarily a spider creature. It's a little girl with little girl proportions, sort of, that are only slightly warped when we see it in shadow, I guess. I don't know, it's insane. Like, I really wanted this to be a smash cut to Orphan Part 4 or whatever. That's what I was expecting back there, that she was a girl, but one sort of like a changeling or something. But yeah, it's not. It is a creature, it is a monster. Um, I guess this is why they locked her in there, or was locking her in there what created her? That's the thing that I kind of wrestled with, but you don't have time for that because this turns into an action horror monster movie all of a sudden.
Yeah, it really does. And like deformed, she looks like a fucking Cenobite. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's got like shark teeth. And like I just don't. It's wild. It really is wild. But yes, it's a super monster action movie. We have a home invasion. We have the most
bonus bodies. Bonus bodies. That's what this is about. Like, Sarah has the wherewithal to know, and maybe the bloodlust to know, that we better hide these bodies from the home invasion people so that I can kill them too. And I love that she crams the mother in the small cubby underneath the stairs. And it's just so grotesque. Like, if you had been sitting through this atmospheric gothic horror up until this point, wishing for blood, you get it. You get it. This is wonderful.
That coupled with the Halloween masks that all these boys are wearing, so weird. So like everything's so dark and moody and heavily shadowed, and it's all in browns and oranges, some greens, some grays. And then they're wearing like these, it's not like a Ben Cooper style mask, but it's like this matte pop animal. It almost cartoony You're Next. Like, it's kind of like cartoony animal masks. And each one of these boys is going to die, and they don't fuck around. Brian is a little kid. They kill that motherfucker. But the first time that you see one of those dudes get pulled under the stairs or under the piano, and it is a fountain of a torrent of blood, you think to yourself, holy shit.
I like this quite a lot. And I think that it's part like her just stretching her legs a little bit, like, oh yeah, finally out. I can kill and maim like I was born to, or whatever. It's just handy that she has a bonus body. And it's handy that she can take out a lot of this frustration, because I don't think she's Peter's friend. I don't think that she was planning on letting him live.
I don't think so either. I think that this was always the plan, to kill them all for you having a normal life that I wanted. And you would think, oh my God, these poor people, like this poor girl, because she looked different, she was born with deformities, I suppose, and she was locked away like a fucking animal because of it. It's like Hugo in the Treehouse of Horror. It's like evil Bart Simpson. But
very much,
it's not just the fact that she has disfigurements, birth defects. She's a vicious, murderous, superhumanly evil, wild animal who can't help but horror movie villain kill all of these boys. She bisects one of them completely. She rips, like, these are not action sequences akin to the police station in Malignant. That is like Ong Bak, The Raid, level fucking like gushy ash martial art bonanza watching someone with superhuman strength dismember an entire police station worth of officers. Good stuff. Watch Malignant. But this is like a stalk and slash. It's like almost like a self-contained movie all by itself. Like you could have made a whole movie that was like, they broke into the wrong house. Like it could have been that, but they just have this one little section, and this really only exists to have bonus bodies. My question being to these boys, they showed up to this house expecting Peter to be alone on Halloween with his recluse parents that never leave or go anywhere. Like, were they planning to beat up the entire family with baseball bats?
Yeah, I guess like because they're older boys, maybe that's what they were gonna do, like break their legs or something. Like I'm not sure exactly what they planned. Did they plan the ultimate solution of murdering this whole family? Was that it? Over someone getting their leg broken? Like, I mean, that's a bit much. That's really a bit much. Were they just going to come in and smash the place up? Sort of like those people that went and shot up a restaurant in Toronto. They didn't want to hurt anyone, I guess. That or they're incredibly stormtrooper level bad shots. Or did like they just wanted to come in and scare everybody? Were they gonna just come in and smash up furniture?
It's hard to say. The whole time I was watching this, I was like, you're taking a massive leap. And by the way, they're still in the middle of the suburbs. So they're like, this is not like a rural farm in the middle of nowhere. This is literally, you can see neighbors' houses everywhere. Miss Divine is going to be making her way to the house because she just knows something is wrong. And
yeah, she got a phone call from Peter because at one point she put her phone number on a test or a something that she needed to hand back to him, or under the pretense of handing it back to him, and he had called. And that's another really good scene I like a lot, because you're as much as you worry that his father's going to do something to him when he catches him digging up a skull in the pumpkin patch, that he snuck into his parents' room and is making a phone call with the only phone in the house, and his mother almost catches him. That's terrifying too, because you really think that he's going to get locked up in the basement again, which was scary enough for us, I suppose. But yeah, so she's on her way to the rescue because he had called and said, "Help me." And yeah, she shows up on like this is like the craziest night ever, right? There's dead bodies all throughout this house.
the house is trash. There is blood everywhere. And we have Sarah stalking the house. One of the things that Sarah does that we kind of brushed over that I really like is she says that she was amongst the cobwebs and the spiders, and you could see how that's kind of like her little persona. She's like, I'm a spider lady, but she uses her like 30-foot long hair like an anglerfish. She's constantly using her hair to lure people to her location or to distract people so she can get them from the other hand. First of all, she's so fast and powerful. I don't know why you need the theatrics. You literally could just like rip these boys limb from limb. So I don't know what the point is, but it is very theatrical and I like it. But this hair comes into play. But Miss Divine is going to get slashed, and she's immediately, I couldn't imagine what would be going through her mind, where she is immediately fighting for her life the second she gets into that fucking house.
And it's not up against the father with a hammer.
No, and the it's so much stranger. And I would so wish that this is the one time that I wish that there was like an inner monologue. Like if this were a book, we could know kind of what the character was experiencing, the confusion. But she is going to be stumbling around. She's going to be looking for Peter, who was hiding underneath a bed for a while basically Sarah made short work of all these boys. All of them are dead. Brian, his cousin, their friends, everybody. Peter's parents are gone. Now it's only them. Peter is also been now locked up in this same pen cage that Sarah was locked in, and she has put the clock. I think that it would be possible, assuming Sarah would want to physically leave the house, it's possible that as sort of a delicious bit of, in her mind, divine justice, maybe she would have just left Peter in her stead, locked up in this house.
She might have, because I don't know what her plan was. If she was going to just escape and chew her way through the city until the army came inevitably and shot her, because that's how sci-fi action films end. That's what would happen. Or if she would just, finally run into the woods and feed on animals. Like, I don't know what her big plan was. I really don't. Because somebody would have discovered him sooner or later, or he would have just died there. I mean, either one's sort of like a pretty weak ending to Peter. It's not that comic book villain, and that maybe she feels she deserves at this point. But the way that it turns out is so much more better for us and for Peter, because had the teacher not shown up, maybe she would have just crawled back in there, move the clock and crawl back in there and kill him. Because she seems to like killing a lot better than she likes, this, I don't know, sort of manipulation that she's doing of her brother. To kill him was the real goal, it seems. Kill everyone in the family and escape. So she gets this distraction of the teacher showing up, which leads us to a little bit of body discovery too, which I really enjoy. And it is like tense and scary because it is a full-on monster film. We get a lot more of the creature's voice and face throughout all of this. Apparently there's not a lot of CG in this film either. Did you rent this or watch it on streaming like I did, or did you do you own a copy of this?
I don't own a copy of it, but I'm thinking about buying it because the Blu-ray is very inexpensive. So it might be worth picking up. I would love to see some behind the scenes stuff on this, because I would have assumed that it was completely CGI. Like yes, there was an actress that was doing the body work. That's Alexandra Drakova. Other than that, like, the face just looks completely CGI to you. But I've been fooled before. Like when we watched Crimson Peak, I would have sworn that was all CGI, but no, Doug Jones is at it again. So
yeah, right.
So it's hard to say these days.
I had listened to a review, which I typically don't do. I usually never listen to or watch any reviews about movies that we're watching until after, and sometimes not even then. But I usually don't like to watch or listen to any reviews on a movie so that our take is fresh, because typically in the genesis of the show, we would sit down and watch something and talk about it right away. And this movie was just so secret. Like, I hadn't heard of it for the 2 years, and I understood that it was quite divisive. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people loved it. And I wanted to kind of get an idea. So I listened to 2 very short reviews, and one was on the Cobweb's channel, of which I do subscribe. So it's odd that I never noticed this movie reviewed there either. And he had said that there's extras on the DVD or the Blu-ray that explain how most of this is physical, and I was surprised too. So I'm gonna have to watch Cobweb again to see if I can pinpoint any of the actual CGI or parse out what's real and what isn't. But this ending scene probably does have, I can see how a lot of this is done physically, because they use her hair against her. This is how Peter escapes from that pit, because if you recall, Wes had described it as like a 30-foot drop to nothing, to this teddy bear on the ground. And like, how's he going to get out? He can't scrabble up the walls. The teacher couldn't reach down if she could to pull him out, but they end up using the creature's hair, Sarah's hair, this big long cobweb mess. And I guess that's the only kind of cobweb in the story, that she's spent time in among the cobwebs, but her hair kind of looks like cobwebs. Luckily, it's stronger than that, because he climbs up it like Rapunzel.
he does call like Rapunzel. Ms. Divine gets the jump on it, and Sarah does kind of crab walk a little bit, but she gets beat the fuck up as that is going on, and eventually her ass gets tossed back down into the pit, and it's locked. She can crawl up walls like nobody's business, and unfortunately for her, it's too late. The ending of this movie is weird. It's hard to really say what is going on. However, it seems to be that Miss Divine is now the caretaker of young Peter, and they have evidently, I guess he's at her house or they've moved or something. And now it's kind of like the same ending as Summer of 84. If you've ever seen Summer of 84, the whole thing culminates into this serial killer being like, I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere and I'm gonna get you one of these days. Think about me for the rest of your life. And Sarah basically says the same thing. It's like, I'm locked up in this house. I can escape at any time. I'm part of you. You're part of me. You killed your parents. Like you broke Brian's leg, felt nothing. You, with very little prompting from me, you killed your parents also with very little prompting from me. You watched the life drain from your mother's eyes. Her final request, don't let it out, you did not adhere to. You got Mother Goose Bridge Troll tricked into all of this from me, the master manipulator, and I'll be here at any time. And then credits and we're getting out of here. So what, I suppose I'm always in the same boat with movies like this. How do you explain what the fuck happened? We've got 3, 4, 5, 6 dead people, one of whom is a kid. And and you have, what are you supposed to do? Walk away? Oh, let the cops figure that out.
Oh yeah, and when they do, what are they going to be doing? Looking for that kid that lived in that house that had pushed that bully down the stairs, and his teacher who had shown concern and gone over to the house a couple times, and people know that she did this.
Yeah.
The last call from that house went to her phone. So people are going to be looking for them if cops exist in this world.
Which we're not sure, but we know that teachers, a classroom full of students, 2 adults exist, and some trick-or-treaters, they exist. But I mean, that may as well. But again, like, this goes into this dark fairy tale dream logic of this place. This is a heightened reality, not to be really taken literally, I don't think, and which is why I think it exists in that space of a fairy tale.
Yeah, that's the only way to really describe it, with the allusions to things like Rapunzel, or the little girl in the well, where there's like a Prince Frog sort of story going on in this well, and things she's talking to. Any other sort of talking animal thing, or the Jeff story of the mongoose named Jeff that could talk, that lived in the wall. Not that that's a fairy tale or a Mother Goose story, but same sort of idea. Like, yeah, it definitely is in that sort of world. So we can believe that she's just going to fester there until we get a sequel. If we ever had a sequel. Now, this script sort of languished on the blacklist, and I've only heard tangentially of the blacklist of scripts, and I always think if I ever did write a screenplay and it just ended up languishing on the blacklist, I'd be happy, because a lot of people will see it. People just go and I guess cherry pick scripts off this big list of scripts that are just rotating around Hollywood. So, like, I don't know how much it changed from the way that it was originally written in this like fairy tale way, and I don't know if there is fodder for a sequel. I really wish there would be, though. I want adult Peter to go back to the house and see if his weird spider sister's still alive. Like, I do want to see what happens. Did the house burn down and kill her? You know, that's the only way to really exterminate this creature. But I don't think there would be, because the reception of this movie wasn't super hot.
It really wasn't. And, I just really want to say, in this movie's defense, something that I really appreciate about these types of bait and switch type films, they do at the very least beeline for the literal. And I appreciate that. I think about films that fall flat for me, like The Babadook, like Daddy's Head a little bit more recently than The Babadook, where you have a strange occurrence happening, and what you have is a very poorly articulated metaphor that something is supposed to represent, that I always find bad. I just don't respond well to it. Whereas a film like Cobweb, I like that it's a fucking monster in the wall. That's what it is. It's a monster in the wall. It's not a metaphor. He's got a fucking crazy xenomorph sister that bisected a dude in a Halloween mask and decapitated another dude with a pumpkin and put his head in the pumpkin. I like that. Perhaps I'm too much of a literalist to really allow metaphor to work well on me or leave a lasting effect. I get frustrated when things don't explain it. And some people's criticism of this film were like, we're not really explaining what Sarah is. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of want an explanation, but also I'm satisfied with Xenomorph's sister in the walls. I'm fine with that.
I'm very fine with that too, because it is fairy tale and you don't explain every single thing. Like, how does a wolf talk in Red Riding Hood? No one has ever questioned that. No one ever fucking cares about that. But here we are worrying about the wolf talking. That's basically what those people are doing, I think, where they can't just appreciate that it is a story. It's a monster versus man kind of thing. It's a fairy tale, and just a very modern one. So maybe that's what's throwing them for a loop, because it's not Company of Wolves. But maybe Company of Wolves threw them for a loop as well. But you said that this was a pick for your 31 of 31, wasn't it? If I recall, you'd said you always want to watch a modern movie, and this was the pick for that because it's Halloween-y.
Yes, usually, like, it doesn't have to be like a 31 for 31 in October. It doesn't have to be a slasher movie. That's just like what I meant. Although I could argue this has slasher elements towards the end, but yes. She slashes and there's a body count. But in the month of October, I make it my business, because I spend a lot of time in the past. I spend a lot of time rewatching movies. I have to watch something new in the month of October, and this one fit the bill for last year.
Oh, okay. That makes some sense then. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you brought it to the show, because I always appreciate a film I haven't seen, a film that's flipped under our radar, and a Halloween-y picture, because the pumpkins galore. Is Halloween time. Like Chris had just done a list, like I mentioned on the last show, because we're still here in the middle of November doing a Halloween hangover, right? Like, I'm still talking about how my husband made a list of movies that are all horror movies that take place on Halloween, and there's far more than 31 of them, and here's yet another one that we hadn't seen before, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but on that note, what do we got next for him?
Coming up next, we have a few movies in mind that will herald the winteriness, because we have a little hiatus until the first week of December, when we'll be recording again before we do a Christmas film. So we've got a few wintry movies in mind. We just haven't quite hammered out exactly what one we're going to pick.
That's right. For the first time in a long time, I can't remember the last time we've left them hanging, but we're leaving you hanging. But if you check our social media, when Lydia knows, I'll put it out on Instagram. I'll put it out on other social media so you guys can know. So we'll know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But yes.
Definitely check our Instagram, check even Twitter. I update sometimes Blue Sky. And we can be found on Facebook, and you can find Wes as Horror Historian on TikTok.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a mystery episode for the next episode, but for right now, it's no mystery. I'm Wes Knipe.
And I'm Typical Lydia.
And you've been listening to Dead Air. Stay out of the basement. If you like this show, you can find more episodes and other content on splatterpictures.net, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. We also upload all episodes to YouTube now, if you'd prefer to listen that way. You can find us across social media like Instagram, X, and TikTok, and the show is edited by Lydia Peever and hosted by Lydia Peever and me, Wes Knipe. We'll see you next time.